And so one question my buddy keeps asking me is like, why is it okay in the Catholic Church to have a couple beers,
Yeah.
but I can't smoke half quarter of a joint?
Yeah.
So I was wondering if you have any, both according to the National Institute of Health, they're both considered psychoactive drugs. I know people are like, oh, the Catechism says you can't do drugs. Well, alcohol is a drug. So yeah, I'm just wondering, do you have any, I know it's kind of a gray area.
When the Catechism talks about drugs, and it's also talking about the abuse of drugs. I mean, for example, opioids are an incredibly powerful narcotic. But we use them for therapeutic purposes. And someone might say, well, it's for therapeutic, it's health. Marijuana is where they can't just be used recreationally. But almost any substance could be classified as a drug. That's what is being discussed there is more talking about using, well, what I agree is that the church teaches that you cannot ingest substances that cause you to lose control of your rational abilities. So you cannot use heroin, cocaine, drink alcohol to the point of becoming drunk. You cannot use substances or smoking marijuana to the point where you're high. You cannot, if you're using a substance to lose your rational abilities, that's sinful. So you cannot do that. But the church doesn't have a teaching saying, the church doesn't say, marijuana is something people cannot use. Right. Because what's the justification behind it? The fact that it's called a drug? Well, I mean, that's just a legal classification. In states where it's legal, it's not a drug.
Correct.
So
the worst argument I've heard, it's illegal federally, so that's like a sin because you're disobeying. But
you're not disobeying federal law because if it's legal in your state, you're allowed to possess it.
Right. Yeah.
No, and it's yeah. I would say, and some people might be mad about me, but I would say there isn't a, and some people might think, oh, well, you're always going to get high when you smoke marijuana. No, that's not true. Now, I don't use marijuana. I rarely actually. Here's the thing for me. I'm very clean cut person. I don't smoke, cigarettes or marijuana or ingest that. I rarely actually drink alcohol. I'm really focused on just trying to be healthy and get healthy as an individual and focus for martial arts and for cardio. It's like I don't want to sit around and like smoking marijuana or drinking. Like I need cardio. Like when I'm going against someone who's really tough, I want to focus on that. So I think that it's more harm, that it's much easier to abuse alcohol than it is to abuse marijuana.
I see.
I believe it's far easier to abuse alcohol, to cause long-term damage, to harm yourself or harm others. So I would say you should not abuse substances like alcohol, caffeine, marijuana. I do think, though, Frank, I was talking about this with Matt Fradd not too long ago. I have a hard time justifying smoking, even cigars, because I feel like, well, it causes a lot of damage. Like my thing, like even with combat sports, like for me, I don't like slap fighting. I'm like, it's not really skill. It's just causing. What's next? We're gonna see who can put a nail gun through their hands and withstand the pain. It's like I'm not a fan of sports where there can be long-term serious physical damage. So like even combat sports like MMA, it's some of that can be on the line for me a little bit. But so then I think like if my son said to me like, hey, I'm going to start smoking cigarettes, or hey, I'm going to start doing MMA, I'd rather have him do MMA than smoking cigarettes or cigars. And marijuana cigarettes don't have filters either. They're really bad for you. So it's like, I have a hard time justifying. I'm not saying that it's sinful, but it's hard for me. If you're going to damage your body, you have to have a really proportionately good reason for doing that.
I appreciate your consistency.
Yeah.